Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the program today, for months now, we've been talking about the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights in Colorado. And today we go to the source. Randy Thompson has the rundown.
We have a professor of economics from the University of Colorado, Barry Poulson, who is actively involved in creating the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights.
And coming up on the Pirate Pundit panel today, Larry Mathias, Michael Hackett, and Andy Barbano. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
High-tech companies demand perfect world amenities. They require clean, reliable power, state-of-the-art fiber optic communications, and clean water sources. In a perfect world, companies would have immediate access to rail and interstate freeways. There would be 4-lane expressways that shorten shipping times and provide convenient commute routes for valued employees. Well, the future is now, and it's here. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
When making your decision as where to play golf, consider the resort at Red Hawk. You know you have made the right choice the moment you arrive. The friendly staff welcomes you to our award-winning pro shop. You know you've made the right decision on the first tee. The Lakes course is in the best condition in years. You know you've made the right choice after you've played 18 holes. The resort at Red Hawk, the right choice.
Nevada Newsmakers is sponsored in part by the Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association.
As an employer, did you know you can be held liable for negligent hiring? A background screening by Employer Links can uncover criminal records, like alcohol and drug convictions. It can verify the applicant's education, driving records, and professional licenses. Employer Links can check civil records, registered sex offender records, and Social Security fraud. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, along here with Ray Hagar. We've had many discussions on this program about a taxpayer bill of rights that has been in force in Colorado. And there have been people on the program, both pro and con. And we decided it was time that we talk to somebody from Colorado to find out how this has been going. So on the phone with us today is Barry Poulson. He's an economics professor at the University of Colorado. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
In an editorial on July 7th in a Bangor newspaper, Bangor, Maine, the governor of the state of Colorado said, far from a fiscal straitjacket, Tabor is an economic bulletproof vest, and it has served Colorado well despite the unrelenting attacks from those who speak unfettered government spending. Is that the way you feel about it?
Yes. Colorado's Tabor Amendment is the most effective tax and spending limit in the country, and a number of other states, including Nevada, have introduced tax and spending limits modeled very much after the Tabor Amendment.
Professor, opponents of the Tabor Amendment say that perhaps in Colorado, if you get into a pinch there, you'll have to close state parks, state colleges, remove elderly patients from nursing homes. Anything like that? Do you think that's a plausible fear?
Well, I think if you look at the history of the Tabor Amendment, it certainly has constrained the growth of government in Colorado in the 1990s, and so in Colorado we didn't experience the sharp increase in revenue and spending that we find in other states, including Nevada. And of course, the reason is that the Tabor Amendment imposes a very stringent limit on the growth of government, inflation plus population growth. And there's some other provisions in Tabor that make it much more effective than Nevada's tax and spending limit. I just recently completed a study for Americans for Prosperity evaluating different state tax and spending limits in terms of how effective they are. And Nevada's tax and spending limit receives a D-. Colorado's receives an A, and the explanation is that Nevada has a very ineffective tax and spending limit. And so what I see happening in Nevada is what happened in California and other states in the 1990s when revenue increased rapidly. Spending was increased to match or more than match the increase in revenue. And so you get this ratchet up effect so that when you enter a recession, or as we have the last couple of years, the problem is you have a revenue shortfall, and then it's very difficult to balance the budget.
You know, in Nevada, since 2001, state spending has increased by nearly 45%, more than twice the rate of population growth. What is the limit in Colorado?
Well, we actually have the same limit, population growth and inflation, that Nevada has in their tax and spending limit, but the difference, the major difference, is that in Colorado this is a constitutional limit, and in Nevada it's a statutory limit. And unfortunately, when it's a statutory limit, lawmakers can simply choose to ignore the limit, and that apparently is what happened in the 1990s, and apparently what happened in this last legislative session. I think that the state in Nevada ran a significant surplus, and some of that surplus was returned to taxpayers, but basically what Nevada has done consistently is increase spending to match the increase in revenue.
Now, Professor, did the Tabor help Colorado make it through the 9/11 disaster?
Well, what I would argue is that what Tabor did was set the stage for fundamental tax reform and spending reform. And so from 1997 to 2000, what Colorado did was rebate more than $3 billion in surplus revenue to taxpayers. And so when we entered the recession in 2001, we didn't have the huge budget expenditures that other states had. And so at that point it was much easier to balance the budget. And one of the things that happened when we started sending rebate checks to taxpayers, Governor Owens asked the obvious question, why is the state simply collecting surplus revenue and returning it to taxpayers? So we cut the income tax, the sales tax, the business personal property tax, and a variety of other taxes and fees. And we also, I think, Tabor set the stage for very important spending reforms. We did constrain the budgets of a number of state programs, and we introduced the first statewide voucher program for education K through 12, the first voucher program in higher education, and I don't think those reforms would have taken place without the constraints, the budget constraints imposed by Tabor. So basically the bottom line is that Tabor prevents the ratchet up effect that occurs from one business cycle to the next, and in that sense I would argue it put Colorado in a much better position to address the problems of business cycles, revenue shortfalls, and the terrorist attack to the extent that that affected our tourism and other industries.
Okay, Professor, let's take a break. We'll come back more on Tabor from a man who knows all about it from Colorado. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
My family started this business 27 years ago.
We work hard to serve our customers and our community.
But it's getting harder and harder to keep the doors open.
For example, our workers' comp is going through the roof. Isn't anyone on my side anymore?
The Retail Association of Nevada is. If you're a small business owner, we can cut your workers' comp by up to 50%, lobby for your interests, and keep you informed. Put us to work today.
we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And we continue our discussion with Professor Barry Poulson, economics professor at the University of Colorado. We're discussing the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, as it's better known, TABOR. I want to quote again from that editorial that the governor wrote for the Bangor Daily News up in Maine. He said, "So if TABOR is working so well, why am I joining a bipartisan group of Colorado legislators and asking our voters for permission to keep all the excess funds the state will collect over the next 5 years? The answers are simple and straightforward. First, Colorado, like most states, was hit hard by the recession and the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and as a result, our state suffered an unprecedented 2-year 17% drop in revenue." That seems like a pretty big problem there.
Well, I think that what the governor is referring to there is the so-called ratchet down effect, and that is when you have a revenue shortfall, as we did in Colorado beginning in 2001, that then sets a lower base against which you apply inflation and population growth. I actually have designed a TABOR amendment that solves this problem. That model has been adopted by the American Legislative Exchange Council, and we've introduced this model in more than a dozen states. And it's a very simple idea, and that is that you link TABOR to a rainy day fund. And that means that when you're in a period of prosperity, such as we were in the 1990s, you set some of the surplus aside in a rainy day fund, and you return some of it to taxpayers. And then when you enter a recession, you use your rainy day fund to offset at least part of the revenue shortfall, and you hold your TABOR limit constant until revenue recovers from the recession.
Carol Villardo of the Nevada Taxpayers Association on this program a couple of weeks ago said that she felt that about 10% of the budget should be kept in that rainy day fund. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that 10% is probably a good number for Nevada. It depends on how volatile your revenue is. I think in Nevada that there's enough volatility in your revenue that probably a 10% rainy day fund would be appropriate and would help Nevada stabilize the budget in any period of crisis or revenue shortfall. And I think that's much better than what has been proposed in Colorado, referendum C and D in Colorado. Unfortunately, what that referendum will do this fall is simply increase government spending and the budget over the next 5 years. It asks taxpayers in Colorado to forego rebates of surplus revenue for 5 years. And unfortunately, Colorado has never introduced a rainy day fund. We've tried to get a rainy day fund into our legislation here unsuccessfully. So unfortunately, I'm afraid Governor Owens has endorsed a policy that would make it more difficult for us to balance the budget in the next recession, because all C and D would do is bump up our revenue and spending without a rainy day fund, and the next time we have a recession, it's going to be even more difficult to balance the budget. So I oppose referendum C and D that will be on the ballot this fall.
Professor, here in Nevada, during our state legislature, a taxpayer Bill of Rights came up, and it was killed basically because it didn't have the support of Bill Raggio. He's our Senate Finance chairman, and basically he's the grand poobah of the legislature. Let me read a quote of his to you, and if you could comment on this, what Senator Raggio said, quote, "The governor in Colorado, who was the champion of Tabor, is out telling people, I don't want to backtrack, but I want to have a moratorium on this. That sends a pretty strong message that this isn't working." And could you comment on that, please?
Well, I think Tabor's working exactly as it was designed to do. Our problem in Colorado is not with Tabor, and in fact, of course, our revenue shortfall for the last 3 years is not due to Tabor. It's due simply to the recession. Our problem in Colorado is we don't have a rainy day fund to stabilize the budget. We also have something called Amendment 23, and Amendment 23 was passed in 2000, and it mandates a constant increase in spending for education K through 12 at the rate of inflation plus inflation plus 1% until the year 2010, and then at the rate of inflation thereafter. Now, there's a flaw here because you can't have one amendment that mandates a constant growth in spending for one government program, education K through 12, and another constitutional provision that requires that you maintain a hard budget constraint. The outcome of that's going to be exactly what's happened, and that is that spending for education K through 12 has increased very sharply over the last 3 years, and indeed will continue to increase as a share of the state budget. It will be over 50% of the state budget shortly. So our problem in Colorado is, one, we don't have a rainy day fund, and secondly, we have an amendment that has carved out a privileged position for education in our budget. So we need to do something about both Amendment 23, and we also need to create a rainy day fund, neither of which will be are provided for in this referendum C and D. So that's Bill Owens called me on the phone a couple months ago and asked me to support the referendum. I opposed it for those reasons.
Last question here, and just basically a yes or no answer. Do you think you're going to get a rainy day fund in Colorado the way that you've got the system set up at this point?
Well, I worked with our state treasurer, Mike Kaufman, for several years to try to design some legislation that would link our Tabor amendment to a rainy day fund. I think we came close last year in getting that legislation through, but we ended up with a stalemate. And then so this year, what Governor Owens has done is to buy into really what the Democrats have come up with, referendum C and D. So if I were to be a betting man, I would bet referendum C and D will not pass this fall, and then next year Colorado will get serious about addressing what I regard as the fundamental problems, and that is creating a rainy day fund and also doing something to address the problems created by this Amendment 23.
We've got to leave it there, Professor Poulson. We thank you so much for being here. We'd love to talk to you again, and thanks for helping us out here. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers right after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
For more than a decade, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has been helping the community embrace conservation as a way of life. That includes replacing more than 50 million square feet of grass with water-smart landscaping. During the worst drought on record, watering restrictions and tough landscaping codes have reduced the community's water use by billions of gallons, even as thousands of new residents were moving into Nevada. That's smart water management, and that's our promise to Nevada.
When making your decision as where to play golf, consider the resort at Red Hawk. You know you have made the right choice the moment you arrive. The friendly staff welcomes you to our award-winning pro shop. You know you've made the right decision on the first tee. The Lakes course is in the best condition in years. You know you've made the right choice after you've played 18 holes. The resort at Red Hawk, the right choice.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
You bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
As an employer, did you know you can be held liable for negligent hiring? A background screening by Employer Links can uncover criminal records, like alcohol and drug convictions. It can verify the applicant's education, driving records, and professional licenses. Employer Links can check civil records, registered sex offender records, and social security fraud. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And on our Power Pundit panel today, we're joined by Michael Hackett with Alrus Consulting. We also have Larry Mathias here with the Nevada State Medical Association and Andy Barbano, editor of NevadaLabor.com. John L. Smith's column of Wednesday, July 20th, speaking of former County Commissioner Lance Malone, said, Joe the animal squeaked like a pitchfork piglet. Sammy the bull howled like a scalded steer. Some of the mob's most notorious tough guys, men who swore an oath of silence and built fearsome reputations, yammered like auctioneers when it was their time to do time. And yet Lance Malone, facing 2 federal corruption cases that threatened to send him packing to the penitentiary for upward of a decade, has been a piece of granite. Is Lance Malone a corrupt clown in denial, or the last stand-up guy in Las Vegas? You want to start on that, Andy?
It's like Animal Farm.
I was going to say he's a stand-up guy, and stand-up guys go from the den of iniquity to the holy of holies. He could run to succeed Oscar Goodman as mayor.
Well, I mean, I think that the San Diego decisions certainly don't bode well for what's going to happen in Clark County. I think that Malone will become a case study of what can happen when suddenly you're given political power, or you have political power, and how you deal with it, how you deal with the people who come to you, and how you don't deal with it. And so these kinds of cases sometimes become very good object lessons about principles that are always there that are easily forgotten.
Now, this is the San Diego case that we're talking about. Now it's going to move into Clark County. Mary Kincaid Chauncey says, I'm not worried, I'm not guilty, I don't have a problem. She's also a former county commissioner that the public seemed to take an opinion on, a jury of her peers, as it were.
Well, it sounds like she's taking the same stand-up approach that maybe Lance Malone is taking as well, saying that, well, there's really nothing to be concerned about. These are different jurisdictions. We'll see how this plays out when it comes to Clark County. But I would be concerned. Even though they are separate, I would be concerned.
Well, Larry, are you saying that power corrupts, or that corrupt people get into powerful situations?
Well, I think Lord Acton was correct. Power tends to corrupt. Okay. And if you are unable to deal with the perks that come with power, the potential for becoming wealthy, the potential for being recognized everywhere. There are a lot of temptations that come with power, and not everyone can handle it well. Not everyone has handled it well. Some become corrupted by it. Others become great.
And Mike Gilardi at the center of this case, and Aaron Kenney, also a former county commissioner, have both pled guilty and are cooperating, so this thing is far from over.
We're talking about the bribes from the strip club case for people that haven't followed it, and it happened in both San Diego and Las Vegas, of alleged bribes from strip club owners to soften up the strip club ordinances. But what you've got here, and Mary Kincaid Chauncey is perhaps the best example of a venerated public official that perhaps lost her way. And I think it's the equivalent of you put a sane person into an insane asylum, and within a few days they start showing symptoms of insanity because people automatically start to approximate the norm of the society they're living in. And you put somebody on the Clark County Commission, which decade in and decade out has been the most corrupt public body in the state of Nevada, and in the 40 almost years that I've lived here, that's always been the case. You put somebody otherwise pristine on that body, and pretty soon they start approximating the norm.
Well, let's be honest here and say that there have been some corrupt members of the Clark County Commission, but it has not been the majority over the last few years.
I'd say what's key is the Clark County Commission is the most powerful government body in Nevada. It's more important than the state legislature. The chair of the Clark County Commission in most times has more just real power in their hands than the governor of the state. And those are realities that are tempting, and they can have caused problems at times, but they've also brought out some great people at times. And I think the temptation will always be there. It's the job of voters to select people who will deal with temptation properly, not give in to it.
One other thing, too, on the case when it does come to Las Vegas, I think that's going to be key is the credibility of the people that will be going for the prosecution on this, trying to provide the conviction, whether they are going to be credible enough that they can actually sustain their testimony and that it actually works to make the case that the prosecution wants to make on this.
Although almost all these kind of cases, everybody who testifies looks pretty smarmy, and that's one of the realities of it. That people who aren't smarmy aren't doing the kinds of things these folks are accused of doing or accused of participating in, and so it's not a character test of witnesses. It's a test of whether or not they're telling the truth.
Let me change subject real quickly here. Sharon Angle has raised the most money in the congressional race for what appears to be Jim Gibbons' open seat, and it's mostly money from out of state. This Club for Growth, very conservative organization, and from what I understand from my sources, they have placed to spend as much as it takes to get her elected. Your thoughts on this, Larry?
The moon howlers are coming out in droves.
Well, I think for Sharon, I think she does have a key set of issues. What she has to be able to do is talk about congressional issues, not about state legislative issues. Yeah. And if she can't make that transition, doesn't matter how much money she's got, she's not going to win.
Mike, last 5 seconds.
She still has to make the connection with the voters here. Even if her money is coming from out of state, she still has to make connection with the voters here and why she would be good.
And she is connecting with the Republican base. We'll be right back after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
Here at the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, water resources come from fresh, clean groundwater, approved by state permits. The water is pumped from wells to million-gallon storage tanks and then distributed to TRI companies. Another amenity is our investment in a state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant. This disposal system converts waste to clean water for industrial applications. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevada.
South Reno's hotspot for food, fun, and friends is the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy great food 24 hours a day in the Dining Car Restaurant. For a quick bite and the best sandwiches in town, it's the Whistle Stop Deli. And for the best appetizers and menu selections and a large variety of cocktails, beers, and martinis, it's Sully's Sports Bar, Grill, and Nightclub. The Tamarack Junction is your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
Don't forget, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com.
Well, and on Monday we have former State Senator Joe Neal and my very first boss, Steve Robinson, from the governor's office talking about water.
We'll see you then.